is here. Demonetized. How in the year 2003 with a shitty Raw pay-per-view like this one? Oh my word, Tomas, this pay-per-view was so boring.
This was really boring, and honestly, the last pay-per-view of the year is just a testament that Raw pay-per-views were boring and SmackDown was just hitting it out of the park. Holy
SmackDown was
shit.
killing it.
You thought Unforgiven was bad. You thought Bad Blood was bad. No pun intended. This was fucking bad.
Yeah, this pay-per-view made Bad Blood look like WrestleMania X7 by comparison.
It really fucking did.
God, I would rather rewatch the Triple H and Kevin Nash stinker of a Hell in a Cell match over anything on this show. My word.
That was a hell of a lot better than anything on this card.
Do you guys like? I feel like a lot of us like that are fans that grew up in the Ruthless Aggression era look back fondly like on everything, and we just had our blinders on. But as a critic, I'm just looking at all these Armageddon pay-per-views at the end of the year. None of them were really very good.
What I can think of is maybe 07 with Edge winning the title and 08 with Jeff Hardy winning the title.
Yeah, that was, those were way, way, way down the line, though. Like, this whole big stretch of Ruthless Aggression era Armageddons was like, it was either just a one-match show or just completely unmemorable, aside from, like, the last couple of minutes when you realize the implications.
And we were literally just talking, speaking of Armageddons, how later on in the years, I remember the worst Armageddon I can think of that isn't this one, or 05, is 06, when they just brought John Cena on for a featured tag team match so they could sell the pay-per-view. One title's not on the line.
Not gonna lie.
They brought Cena in.
Not gonna lie, that pay-per-view is kind of a guilty pleasure. I don't even think about the main event. I just think about how many gimmick matches were on that show. But, oh boy. Armageddon 2003 was not a good way to end the pretty solid year of 2003 for World Wrestling Entertainment. If you guys are new to this channel, I'm obviously, the ZNT Wrestling Show is where it's at for sure. If you guys want to talk wrestling nonsense all the time, if you want to rant with us, got Double or Nothing next week, which looks like a big, big card for All Elite Wrestling. You got Hell in a Cell a couple weeks after that. We're going to have a lot of fun for sure. So smash that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell if you're new. Go ahead.
Let me just get this out of the way now. I had a grand old time listening to you and your friends just shoot the shit with Marvel, so I'm looking forward to shooting the shit with pro wrestling because I feel like the Marvel arguments are just as strong as the WWE or pro wrestling arguments. And oh my god, yeah, I was in stitches over some of this shit.
Oh man, what a way to cap off a Sunday, huh? We recorded that live stream literally at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everybody who watched the live stream, thank you all so much for tuning in. Now here we are recording like 6 p.m., like close to 7 p.m. where I'm at on the same day for this show. But folks, Armageddon 2003 takes place from what was known as the TD Waterhouse Center in Orlando, Florida. Beautiful Orlando, Florida. This show is anything but a paradise, though. One of the best things I can say about this show is the set. These gigantic Armageddon A's that are all on fire, and you have Triple H's Iron Cross telegraphing the finish of the main event. Like, it was really cool.
What the hell was WWE's obsession with the apocalypse around this time? Yeah, Armageddon and Judgment Day. And I remember in 2009 when they were kind of changing up pay-per-view names, they wanted Annihilation to be one of the names. And I'm just like,
my word. Are you okay?
I'm obsessed with nuclear explosions and mushroom clouds and a theme song saying the end is near. As a 9-year-old kid, I would sing that song and I had no idea what it was talking about. But
yeah,
WWE just really apocalyptic themes.
It's a banger of a theme song.
Royal Rumble, or no, SummerSlam 98, and the poster is Stone Cold and The Undertaker destroying the city with fire and brimstone. It's just chill out with the apocalyptic theme, guys. Sorry, that was totally off topic, but I couldn't help but notice it.
I'm not going to make that PC joke, but anyway, this show, it had a really nice video package and everything. It has a nice set. Triple H's Iron Cross is written all over the promotion of this pay-per-view. You can look at the thumbnail. Triple H is all over this poster. it's kind of telegraphing how this show's going to wrap up and everything like that. But
yeah, let's get this out of the way now. Even though Triple H lost the World Heavyweight Championship at Unforgiven and he lost the rematch at Survivor Series, he gets another shot at the title because.
Just because he's not. I'm not done with you, Goldberg. I'm not done with you.
Apparently that warrants. Okay, here's the thing. If I lose 3 championship matches in a row, I'm just gonna say that every time, and that automatically gets you another title shot.
Oh yeah, no, that's how I would get a title shot if I were a WWE superstar. I would just ask the champion politely for one. Roman Reigns, can I have a title match? Can I have a title match, please?
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
It worked for Christian Cage in 2011 when he just wanted one more match.
Oh, shut. Going into 2013?
That has the same energy of when you eat like 20 cookies and then you tell yourself, you know what, I should stop. But you know what? One more cookie.
You just have a big like pack of Oreos in your kitchen and you're like, oh, I just need one more. Let me have one more. You have it and then you're like, oh, I need another one.
Batista and Christian Cage and Triple H, they got title matches as if they were a pack of Oreos. Anywho,
yep.
We could sit here and shoot the shit about random wrestling moments all night, but we
could.
do have a review that we got to get into.
I don't want to get into
on the cusp of Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, he just got fired from losing the Survivor Series match, but there's still a lot of tension between Team Bischoff and Team Austin. Basically, Team Bischoff, their incentive for winning the match is that each member of the team got a favor from General Manager Bischoff. It could be whatever they wanted. And obviously, Bischoff wants to make Team Austin's lives a living hell for even attempting to help Stone Cold Steve Austin. So we have our opener, basically Team Austin versus Team Bischoff again, but it's Booker T versus Mark Henry. I'm not going to lie. This was a fun little TV feud. They ran back the video packages. They ran back the video package of like what was going on the past few weeks. It was just your basic standard TV feud, but we got some fun moments. Like Booker T was in the ring with Stacy Keibler. They're having a good time. She does a spin-a-rooney, and Henry just attacks Booker T out of nowhere. They had a couple matches on TV, but it culminated in the very first ever episode of Raw Roulette, where you basically had a wheel of gimmicks. It was in Las Vegas. You spun the wheel, and whatever match type it landed on, you got to do. So Booker T and Mark Henry actually had a really fun street fight on Monday Night Raw. And I always remember this match because Booker did the smartest thing I've ever seen a wrestler do. He made his entrance, and then he hid right next to the entrance ramp, waiting for Henry to make his entrance. And Booker kept going, shh, shh. And Jerry Lawler's like, why are you shushing, Booker? What are we? You think we're going to tell on you? And I just thought that was so funny. I was like, why hasn't a wrestler never thought of doing that before? Just ambush them on the entrance ramp. They don't know that you're standing right off to the side. So I always remember that match for that reason as well. But it was a really fun street fight on an episode of Raw.
Yeah, no, it was a Raw Roulette episode, and that's basically why you get the stipulation there. But Tomas and I were talking about it. This is a really, I mean, the crowd was into this. I mean, because this is, you know, it's the opener. It's a hot crowd for a pay-per-view like this. But this is a Mark Henry match at the end of 2003, and he's given Booker T the worst powerbomb you will ever see in your life. He nearly dropped the fucker on his head. And the crowd, like, in the third row, I saw them stand up. A few of them were chanting, "You fucked up," at Mark Henry. And I was like, I mean, you're right, but, like...
You know, you think about Mark Henry's career dating back to 1996, and he was just this big, burly monster type that should just be mowing through everybody. It kind of surprises me that it took WWE, it was so difficult for WWE to book Mark Henry correctly. Because, you know, they always booked him in these situations that just exposed how green he was. Because remember, Mark Henry is a former, you know, World's Strongest Man champion. He's a power lifter. He's an Olympian. He got signed because he's an Olympian. He had no idea what was going on in the world of professional wrestling. So he was really kind of thrown out to the wolves and had to learn on a, he was learning on a curve, basically.
Oh, yeah.
WWE. And that lost it, I'm not kidding, I want to say 10 years. Because instead of highlighting Henry's strengths as a big man, they exploited his weaknesses by putting him in the ring with guys that he couldn't really work with.
Like Booker T, who was way more experienced. And Booker T was extremely over in Orlando, Florida. But you mentioned, here's my big problem with the match. You have this street fight on Raw. But then you come here and it's just a normal match on fucking pay-per-view. And I'm just thinking you could do so many things with these two guys to kind of mask Mark Henry's weaknesses in a sense at this time.
Yeah.
Like
Look.
my thought was initially actually a steel cage match when I was rewatching this, mainly because Mark Henry was also managed by Theodore Arlong at this point, who was a heel manager, not yet SmackDown's GM, announcing tag team matches and stuff like that. But that steel cage match, I mean, Booker T could have showcased, number one, his toughness by willing to get inside a steel cage with a big monster like Mark Henry. And it also keeps Theodore Long at bay, you know? Like, it keeps him, like, being uninvolved. I think the steel cage would have worked wonders here.
Yeah,
but
also as an opener, and also, I don't care if they wrestled 4, 5, 6 times on TV in regular matches. You save the gimmick blow-off, for the pay-per-view that you're trying to sell. Imagine telling somebody you're going to get the street fight on free TV, but you're going to make me pay $40 for this regular ass match.
Yeah.
Very, very strange booking, in my opinion.
It's so strange. Also, it's still it's weird looking back on this and seeing Mark Henry come out to Mac Militant, but I mean, alas.
Okay, that's a bop of a theme song, but it is. Fit Mark Henry. It's no 3-6 Mafia.
No. It's time for the main event,
Hell no.
No.
And you may disagree with me here, but I think the wrong person went over in this match.
Really?
I think the wrong person went over. If you're trying to showcase Mark Henry as this big, strong monster, nothing against Booker T, but he should be squashing guys like Booker T.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
the entire mid-card.
Booker T had to hit 2 scissors kicks to beat Mark Henry. And there were I'll give them credit, there were some decent near falls around that point. The crowd was buying into it because it was the opener mainly, so this match had the advantage of a hot crowd. But, I mean, I don't mind Booker T going over at this point.
And if Booker T had to go over, give him a dirty win. Handful of tights, beat on the ropes. Booker T is known for, like, playing a little bit on the dirty side, and I think he could justify by saying, like, well, Mark Henry's this big monster. Booker T was just using his brains to win the match. But Booker T, like you said, hits 2 scissors kicks in a row. It's a very flat finish, in my opinion. It started off as a decently solid match. And then it kind of just fell apart at the end.
It did. I mean, Mark Henry was his offense was mainly just body slams at this point. Booker was trying to bump his ass off for this guy, and bless Mark Henry's heart. He's gotten so much better since this point in his career, but I don't know, man. I feel like the opening slot on the pay-per-view is not the right place for Mark Henry at this stage.
Yeah, and I agree. This match would have been a lot better suited for that opening spot if this was in a cage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally, yeah. I think it would have warranted the opening slot if it was a steel cage match or something like that. Tomas did suggest a last man standing match through text to rub me the wrong way, even though they just fucking did a last man standing match at Unforgiven, you piece of shit. But Booker T hits a scissors kick on Mark Henry, a second one, and he somehow, some way gets the pinfall victory by hook, line, and sinker by the skin of his teeth. 1.5 star. I mean, wrestling was okay. But, the crowd I think the crowd is really what elevated this, because they were into Booker T. They wanted him to win this so badly.
Yeah, perhaps I was a little too generous with this match. I'll give it a 1.75 stars just because I didn't hate it, but it just kind of fell flat in my opinion. But you know what? Looking at this entire card, none of these matches would have been good enough to be first.
No, probably not. I mean, the tag team turmoil
on the show is 3.5.
Yeah. The best match on the card, folks, is a 3.5 star match. That really tells you how shitty this pay-per-view was. But man,
pay-per-view live because I think I did.
I did order this pay-per-view live. I actually remember the day before this pay-per-view is when I turned 7 in 2003. Yeah, 7 years old. And I just had my birthday party with a bunch of my friends from elementary school at the time. And they had all gone home, and then shortly afterwards, my dad ordered me pizza and ordered Armageddon for me. And it was it was fun.
I love my parents to death because they knew I was a wrestling fan, and they could care less who was on the card. If I said I wanted the show, they would just order the show for me.
Yeah.
The only rule was in my house, I couldn't do 2 pay-per-views in a row because these things went for $50 a pop. Mm-hmm. So I had to pick and choose my shows, but it was up to me and my brother. Like they could care less. It's not like they would look at the card and be like, nah, this is stupid, let's save our money. If I said I wanted Armageddon in 2003, if I said I wanted Survivor Series 2012, then they would fucking get me those pay-per-views.
So, this is kind of a weird thing that you were referencing on an earlier podcast, I think about a year ago. We cut backstage after this Booker T. Mark Henry match, and he's like, damn it, this is not the way I wanted to start Armageddon, looking at the television, and I'm like, why the fuck not? I know he was on the opposing team, but you booked the match, sir. You know it was 50-50.
There's your biased general manager, ladies and gentlemen. He is rooting for the failure of his employees because he's a mean guy and Booker T's a nice guy. That's what it all boils down to. Booker T never did anything to Bischoff personally, but Bischoff's the bad guy, so he has to hope for the good guys to lose.
Yeah.
Speaking of a couple of baddies, he has Christian Cage and Chris Jericho in his office to promote the Battle of the Sexes match. Dear Lord, we will get to that later.
Oh, man. Just a side note, I love how you still call him Christian Cage, even though he didn't become Christian Cage for another couple years after this.
I guess it's muscle memory.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. But, so after this, you mentioned that Stone Cold Steve Austin was gone as co-GM, but that meant that there had to be another general manager in Austin's place. It didn't mean that Eric Bischoff had sole ownership of Monday Night Raw. Mick Foley came in for a very short and forgettable stint as co-GM of Raw, wanting to petition to get Stone Cold Steve Austin back on TV. He comes out, he cuts a promo, he says, he cuts a couple of cheap pops and has a couple of film references thrown in there. It was very obviously that this show took place in 2003, going into 2004. Mick Foley was referencing Austin Powers in his speech. He was like, the Austin petition has 1 million signatures on it. And I'm like, yeah. You're the man, Mick. Well, like, Mick Foley is good for a variety of reasons, and that's one of them.
Yeah, and you say that Foley was in this stint a very short time, but he was in this stint for a reason. This would be planting the seeds for not only his WrestleMania feud, but also for a very, very, very memorable Backlash feud as well. More on that.
Yes, sir. Speaking of,
yep.
Of course, you have Stacy Keibler coming out and doing her cheerleading thing that she was so good at the time. The crowd was popping huge for Stacy. Out comes Randy Orton, a very young Randy Orton, to interrupt the proceedings. He gets in Foley's face. Of course, he's doing the Legend Killer thing at the time. I miss so much when little things like this were planting the seed for a WrestleMania match. Because Mick Foley and Randy Orton would be on opposite sides of the ring at WrestleMania 20. And this was the first time they really, locked eyes at this stage.
5 months.
I miss this. I miss it so much.
5 months before Mania, and they're already planting the seeds. That tells me that Vince McMahon, in, November, had this idea of Foley and Orton feuding into WrestleMania, having a special featured match there, and then going into the blow-off at Backlash. He had this idea 6 months from the start. If you
sure
ask
did.
Mr. McMahon what's going to happen tomorrow night on Raw, he would draw a blank.
I don't know. What do you want to do? Throw the women's tag team titles on his desk. Anyway. Oh, is that too soon to make that women's tag title joke? But here's my thing. So Randy Orton gets in Foley's face, and Foley's like, if you're ready to go, rips off his suit jacket, rips off his suit shirt. He's got his referee shirt underneath. It looks like Dewey drew it. And he's like, Van Dam, if you're ready back there, come on down. Rob Van Dam versus Randy Orton, Intercontinental title time, right on the spot. And I'm like, okay, Rob Van Dam, was he just waiting in Gorilla this whole time? Just watching.
Talk about biased authority figures. If Bischoff doesn't want, the good guys to win, well, Foley is in a coup with the good guys, and he's telling RVD, hey, I'm going to go out there, and I know Randy is going to come out and, provoke me, so we're going to do the match right then and there. We're not going to tell him, but you just be ready in position, right? Unfair advantage much.
So random, right? And it doesn't even work. The babyface's plan does not work, oddly enough. So, I know Tomas is going to disagree with me when I say this. This was the best match on the show by a country mile, in my opinion. Tomas thought it was boring. I think it was very well wrestled. I mean, Randy Orton was still learning. He was only 23 at the time, but, his dynamics were very, very good for the time. And Rob Van Dam, I think, was just enough of an experienced opponent to help him through it. It wasn't nearly as good as the Michaels match at Unforgiven, though. I will give you that much. But I think it was enjoyable for what it was.
I just feel like this match was way more wrestled in Randy Orton's style. Like Randy Orton was controlling the pace of this match. When Orton himself was still pretty green in the early stages of his career. And if RVD is the seasoned veteran with a lot more, exciting offense, I think RVD should have been the one guiding Orton through this match instead of, I'm not saying this is the case, but more Orton go, no, I'm going to, control the pace. Even though RVD's taking the heat, I still think he could, control the pace of the match. Feed Orton some moves like, hey, I'm going to go for this springboard kick. You reverse it into something else. Or, something like that. Or
springboard kick into a power slam or something like that. That would have been nice.
I'm going to jump to the top rope. You shove me off the top rope and I'm going to land into the barricade. Something a little more exciting than, the plethora of rest holds that Orton used in this match.
Yeah, Van Dam's offense in this match was pretty much exactly what you would expect out of Van Dam. There wasn't really anything innovative that was thrown into the mix for Randy Orton specifically. There was a plancha to the outside, and then they cut to the Armageddon ring skirt with the random eyes that were underneath it, which scared me half to death rewatching it. I was like, what the hell? Those are just random, like, so odd. But Van Dam, split-legged moonsault, rolling thunder, doesn't even hit a 5-star frog splash in this match, which is strange. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this may be the first time ever that Randy Orton hit one of those draping DDTs on one of these pay-per-views. And it looked like it fucking hurt. Van Dam sold it like a gunshot.
RVD always sold that DDT really well. If you want to fast forward 4 years into the future and the iconic Randy Orton feud with RVD that kind of cemented Orton as the apex predator, then you would remember when Orton concussed RVD and damn near killed him on TV by spiking him with that DDT and that gnarly-ass RKO.
Looks like Van Dam spiked his head on this DDT. It looked nasty. Absolutely nasty. But basically, they wrestle for a little bit, and Orton hits his beautiful drop kicks. Mick Foley is calling this match right down the middle, by the way. Has no bias towards the babyface Van Dam, but Ric Flair tries to run interference at ringside, who, by the way, randomly bleeding, like right when he's walking to the ring. How in the hell is he bleeding? Like,
I've got the blade. You don't understand. With your ear in my eye, if I'm
you're
beat,
you're a no good son of a bitch.
And you aren't. And I got a blade too, brother. Look forward to Ric Flair getting back into the ring, coming to you this summer, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, fuck Christ me. That's such a bad idea. Like, I mean, it's gonna happen, and he's obviously a grown-ass man, and he can do what he wants. That doesn't mean I can't think it's a bad idea, but
I feel like Charlotte's face is gonna be buried into her hands, and she's gonna have to turn off whatever stream she's watching. She's gonna have to turn it off because I would be scared to death if I was
in her honeymoon suite with Andrade. She'll be watching the match, and she'll be like, "Oh shit, Dad, what are you doing?"
Fuck it, turn it off. Let's go to the poolside.
And she was probably thinking, "What the hell are you doing, just blading yourself before coming to the ring? Having a little cut." But Foley is basically keeping Flair at bay, and I love Foley's attitude there. He was like, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it, because he knew what Flair's game was. And I thought that story they told was really well done. But this is the first real instance, Tomas, where they kind of hinted at the out-of-nowhere trademark for Randy Orton, because he hits Van Dam smack with an RKO. JR was like, out of nowhere, and then Orton pins Van Dam clean in the middle of the ring and wins the Intercontinental Championship, his first of what would be many titles throughout his WWE tenure. And he would go on to get used to me saying Intercontinental Champion Randy Orton on these retro pods, because he would hold on to this title for fucking ages. Like, my word. Like, this was my first taste of what a long title reign felt like that didn't exactly annoy me like Triple H's did.
The downside to this title reign is that he's not going to defend it a lot on pay-per-view.
No. He's really not, is he? But, yeah, the next title defense I don't think was against Foley on pay-per-view, was it? Like,
I think it was because... son
of a bitch.
He was probably in the Rumble match in 2004. And
he was definitely in the Rumble. No
Way Out was a SmackDown pay-per-view. He was in the tag team match at WrestleMania. Yeah, I think the next pay-per-view defense for him is Foley at Backlash.
So odd. So odd. He probably had a bunch
like,
of title defenses on Raw here and there, but it was a good reign for him.
The title against Maven, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Van Dam had a very forgettable run with the Intercontinental title at this point after winning it in a very, very fun and underrated ladder match against Christian on an episode of Raw. Yeah, he would hold this title for 3 months.
Orton is Intercontinental champion. He's not a memorable champion for his defenses. He's a memorable champion for what he did while he was champion.
Yep. And he really helped elevate that title, too, to, the status that it would become for a little while in the Ruthless Aggression era. Not like Vince McMahon.
The title didn't elevate him.
Yeah, not like Vince McMahon gives a shit about the Intercontinental title at this point, but this is a 3.5-star match for me. I really liked this. I really like this match. That's way too generous on Tomas's part. I'm, like, cringing at the rating.
2.5.
Oh.
2.5.
I'm devastated. I'm devastated.
Chris, tell him I gave Randy Orton an RVD at Armageddon 2003.
But yeah, I mean,
and Nia Jax versus Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks was such a boring ass match, Chris. I'm gonna give it a 4.
What?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Hey, we can have our own opinions, my friend, and that's what this is all about. I really like this match. It's okay that you thought it was just average, but you ready?
Here we go.
In 2022, we're talking about a shitty angle here.
Here we go. I'm going to say what this match is, and then I'm going to go back and give the backstory because
please.
It needs context.
Please.
Okay, how do I want to? I'm looking at this at every angle, and I don't know how to approach it. Okay, I'm just going to say.
That's what she said.
It's Chris Jericho and Christian versus Lita and Trish Stratus.
Yep.
In a Battle of the Sexes match.
Correction. Eric Bischoff's Battle of the Sexes.
Because, Bischoff had to brand everything during
his
How did we get here? I'll tell you how we got here. Once upon a time, Jericho and Christian were chilling backstage having some locker room talk. And Christian said, and I am not paraphrasing this is exactly what he said, I bet I can nail Lita before you can nail Trish Stratus.
Yep.
Jericho said, no, I bet I could get lucky with her before you get lucky with Lita.
And how much was that bet?
$1 Canadian $1.
Yep.
I don't know what the difference is between a Canadian dollar and a US dollar, but
well, they were both Canadians, so like it was probably. I think like Canadian dollars are cheaper than American dollars. I could be wrong.
That makes it even worse.
I know. That's why I'm like, okay, I think they specifically said Canadian dollars just to be even bigger pricks about it. So
they make their bet, and Christian and Chris Jericho. And it's not like Lita or Trish Stratus, because I don't know. Someone from the back said, hey, we got to show you some footage that we shot because, there was a camera right in front of their faces when they made this bet.
Yep.
So Jericho and Christian go on to do this bet. Christian, actually, Lita got fired, and Christian used, his favor from Bischoff at Survivor Series to get Lita's job back. So that's kind of how we got, cozy and friendly with Lita. Jericho is saving Trish Stratus from all these other situations. I'm not going to lie, I don't even remember, but basically they both get with Lita and Trish Stratus, but Trish Stratus finds out that it was a fucking bet.
Yeah.
The only issue is
you're missing a layer here, though. Yeah, Trish and Jericho were actually starting to fall for each other with this whole thing. And then Trish finds out about the bet, and she's like, oh, you piece of shit. I'm going to slap the hell out of you next time I see you, And more power to her. Jericho lied to her.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. And then Jericho's all reluctant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, we got so mad, sorry, that the aspect ratio on Tomas's side changed.
I got so fucking mad about that match that I knocked out my internet.
Well, we're going to keep going. Regardless. But
yes, absolutely.
So, like we were saying, Jericho
was reluctant.
Yeah. Yep, Jericho was reluctant. And he is backstage with Bischoff, and he's like, listen, I want to talk to you about this Battle of the Sexes match. And Christian is, like, all giddy about getting into the ring with the ladies and, like, how it's going to be such an easy win for him. And I'm like, Christian, you creepy little bastard. You know?
Exactly. What the hell do you say about this match? This wasn't even really a match. This was, I don't even know what to call this thing.
JR did not want to commentate this match. He thought it was just a sin and a blasphemy and everything else, every other word you could use.
So Vince's mindset of this match is, let's take these two very competent athletic women that have been carrying our women's division for the past, five years, let's just say.
Right.
5 years. And let's make them into these defenseless, pathetic looking damsels in distress that cannot fight off these two wrestlers, which in a real fight, they could probably kick their asses.
Yeah, Trish goes to slap Jericho to start the match. The bell rings. Jericho catches Trish's slap, and he's just holding her arms like this up to his chest. And he's like, calm down. Calm down. And then Trish is like, she's trying to fight back, and Jericho has her in like a scoop slam position, and he actually does. He scoop slams Trish Stratus, the girl he's trying to, win the bet over with his buddy. And he's like, calm down. And I'm like, I'm legitimately curious what Jericho rated this on his list. I'm legitimately curious. I don't know if he hates this match as much as everybody else does, but oh my word, he actually has the list. He's going to look it up right now.
Continue talking while I continue going over this match.
Yeah, so one positive that I'll say about this match, there were a couple of spots where Trish and Lita hit a couple of really nice looking Hurricane Ranas, and Jericho and Christian were selling for the ladies too, which I thought was so awesome of them. Despite the shitty story that they're trying to tell here, they're legitimately trying to give these women the recognition they deserve in this situation. Lita is in there with Christian. Christian is taunting her with her shirt and everything like that, and I'm like, this is where I started to notice that Jim Ross was starting to call him a CLB. But what did he?
3.5 stars.
What?
3.5 stars.
3.5?
And get this, there was a rematch the following night on Raw, and he gave it 3 stars.
Oh no! Oh no!
To his credit, he probably really enjoyed the work that the ladies put into this match.
Probably did.
By all means, Jericho worked on this match. He knows a lot more than any of us would, but it's all about perspective. Obviously, you have 4 very good athletes in this match, but I would not.
Yeah,
I would not.
You know what? Here's my thing. You know what's one spot that I would have loved to have seen in this match that's actually be done? Like, Trish is making her comeback, and here's a spot that they didn't do, and I thought it was such an easy little opportunity for a reversal. So Trish goes up and she tries to do her stratosphere. Jericho's on the top rope. Why didn't Jericho reverse it with the walls at that point? That could have been such a neat-looking reversal, but, I mean...
Now, I'm not going to lie. You book Jericho and Stratus or Jericho and Lita, or hell, even Christian and Lita, in a legit intergender match, I'm sure they could have a pretty damn good match.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But just the way that it was presented was just so, off-putting. Off-putting.
It very much was.
Mm-hmm.
If you're expecting a happy end from this match, you're not going to get it.
No. Trish and Jericho are about to console each other. They're about to apologize. And then Christian, the sneaky little bastard, sneaks up behind Trish Stratus, rolls her up in an inside cradle and gets the 3 count. And JR was like, oh, this CLB is celebrating like he just won the world's heavyweight title. And Jericho was despondent. And he actually was. Jericho was just watching his buddy roll up the girl he was crushing on. And I'm like, oh boy, if you only knew. If you only knew what was to come at WrestleMania. If you only knew.
This match gets a star for effort. And that's what
Yeah, I don't feel like rating.
Stratus, Lita, Jericho, and Christian all took that star and split it into 4 pieces. They would all get a piece of that star.
Can I just
star for effort?
Can I just not rate this match out of protest? Just because it's like, let's cancel this match. Let's cancel this match. It's
all 4 of you good job. Your cookies and apple juice are waiting for you in catering. You earned it.
Cookies and apple juice.
And, and Vince will hand you your check, which I'm sure was a fat pay-per-view check.
Oh my god, cookies and apple juice. Why those? Why those? That's so random.
I don't. Star for effort. You get your star in kindergarten. You get a cookie. You get a box of apple juice. And you go take a nap and go home.
Leaf Coney Bear gets a box of apple juice, not Chris Jericho. Come on, you know this one,
exactly.
Mr. Theater. I played that part.
I wish it would get better from here, but it's really not going to. Because what do we have up next?
Oh, speaking of stars, how about Shawn Michaels one-on-one with the Animal Batista, who had a pretty good theme song, actually, before I Walk Alone came around. It's a scary-ass animalistic theme song variation. I really dug it. This was all centered around Shawn Michaels fighting his heart out for Team Stone Cold at Survivor Series. And Batista was the one who ruined it for him. And here we have this match now.
So this match was booked. This match was centered around. This match was happening for one reason only. This was Batista's real test. This was his first. He's been built for a while. I know he had that pay-per-view match with Kane, but this is his first real test to see if he can go at it, one-on-one with somebody else. Yeah, he was still developing an evolution, but this, I feel like, was Batista's first real test. And he is in there with the greatest wrestler of all time. But here is my issue with this match. You have Michaels, who can wrestle a piece of cardboard and make it look good. Batista was obviously still so very green. So very, very, very green in this match.
Unfortunate to say.
He doesn't look bad. He looks, appearance-wise, he looks great. He has the look. He has the power. Hell, I even say he has some of the swagger already for what Vince was trying to mold him into what he would achieve later on and be the next big star. If John Cena was Hulk Hogan, then Batista was the Ultimate Warrior. And this is what Vince was trying to mold him into.
That's a really good analogy,
but
actually.
When you have, thank you. When you have Shawn Michaels, who is carrying 95% of this match, it shows. Shawn Michaels may be the greatest wrestler of all time, but he ain't no miracle worker. And he can only do so much. So basically how this match was structured was, he probably told Batista, hey, I'm going to make you look like $1 million. I'm going to sell for you. You give me all your big spots, spine buster me, power slam me,
spine buster him on his bad back.
Yeah. Yeah. Clothesline me out of my boots, kick me in the face. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to make you look great. But all that silly little technical wrestling stuff, don't even look here.
Shawn's going to handle it all. He carried the load in this match for certain. Absolutely for certain. Shawn, what can you say about him that hasn't already been said? This is Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. In Tomas's opinion, the greatest wrestler of all time. Depending on who you talk to, it's still up in the air. I personally think that distinction belongs to The Undertaker, but Shawn is certainly up there for me. And I think he carried Batista to a really good match here. Not a great match. I would say borderline very good. Tops, if I'm being generous. It was definitely,
this match was passable.
Yeah, well, Bobby Lashley versus Omos at WrestleMania Backlash was passable. I think this was better than passable. I would say it was average,
the match didn't make me want to puke. But let me tell you, if he was in there with anyone else other than Michaels, this would have been a bona fide bathroom break match.
Batista,
they fucking tried.
Yeah, they did. They did. The crowd was really, really into this match, especially on Shawn Michaels' comeback, hitting his big moves, his top rope elbow drops after Batista's very slow and powerful, methodical offense, to say the very least. Like we were talking about, he was very, very green at this point. Shawn kips up, he tunes up the band. I believe Ric Flair got involved. Kind of distracts Shawn. Spine buster and a very, very close near fall at that point. This is, I think, honestly, the match the crowd was into the most out of anything else, because they fucking loved Shawn Michaels. They loved Shawn Michaels. And Batista, they kind of saw potential in him. And I think for the most part, aside from the in-ring work still needing some polishing, he was on the cusp. I mean, he was getting there. This is certainly...
I were to grade Batista's performance, I'd give him a C.
It's a much better performance than he had at the previous year's Armageddon against Kane, where he certainly was not ready for the pay-per-view spotlight, and that was a horrible match. But Shawn, out of nowhere, so it's funny here, Batista hits a second spine buster, and then Ric Flair at ringside once again tells Batista, "Hey, show him the body!" Woo! Show him the body, and then Batista starts flexing for no reason. Just to gloat. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, look at the muscles here. I'm playing Drax the Destroyer in 11 years." So he probably didn't know that at that point, obviously. But he flexes, Batista goes for the Batista bomb, and then Shawn, with a very seamless reversal, hits the super kick and pins Batista clean.
But does he? Does he pin him?
He does.
Because when Michaels falls, he falls right on Batista, but his shoulders are down too.
They didn't stop the match on a technicality. There was no dusty finish. So in the record book, Shawn Michaels won. Shawn Michaels,
probably a brain fart on Shawn Michaels' part, but goddamn, I noticed that right away, and I'm like, motherfucker, you couldn't have just fell at a different angle, and landed not back first onto the mat.
Well, Shawn's a human being too. He's not perfect, you know. Like he'll have nights where he'll just
96% of a match.
Yeah, he carried 96% of the match on his back. He had to lay down somewhere, you know? He had to rest it. So
we talk about Batista being green, and it gets worse from here. Because Michaels wins, he goes off, Batista's in La La Land, he wakes up, he looks at Flair, and he says, "Did I win?" This
was so funny. I loved it. He's like, "Did I win?"
And Flair looks at him, just stares at him, and Batista says, "I won, right?" And Flair says, "No, you didn't win.
You didn't win, buddy."
Goes on a tear. He starts screaming and yelling, "I won that match. I won that match." The referees are trying to calm him down. He's just sitting in there. But here's the thing, my issue.
Oh, God.
He's clearly waiting for something. He's not, he could have went outside and tore up the ring announcer table. He could have threw steel steps around. He could have threw chairs around. He could have thrown a tantrum. But he is standing there in the ring, and he's pacing back and forth, just saying, "I won the match," over and over and over. He's clearly waiting for someone to come out. Maven and Matt Hardy were apparently supposed to have a match.
They were. Yep, Maven and Matt Hardy. My boy Maven walks down to the ring, and we haven't talked about Maven in a long time. Original Tough Enough winner. He comes out, his original theme song, which is a pop, is dubbed over egregiously. He waits outside, and then Matt Hardy version 1's music starts to play. Real quick, before we get into this little angle, did you know that Matt's fingernails can grow very quickly, Tomas?
Apparently they can, because Matt Hardy takes this opportunity to get that extra reach on Maven and attacks him on the entrance ramp.
Extra reach!
Matt Hardy has devised this master plan to attack Maven, throw him in the ring, and Batista remembers why he's still in the ring when he could have left and, continued his little tantrum backstage. Absolutely annihilates Maven. And I will say,
the piss out of the poor guy. My word.
Good.
Yeah.
He looked good in the beatdown. And props to Maven for selling for him, because poor kid got the shit beaten out of him.
Well, that's not the only time Maven's taken a big beatdown from a monster on one of these pay-per-views. I mean, it's not nearly as memorable as the piss beating out of him at Royal Rumble 2002, but good Lord, Maven knew how to take a beating there.
So they finally get Batista out of the ring, and Hardy gets in the ring, and they're trying to attend to Maven. Hardy covers Maven, counts his own pinfall, and he wins the match.
"Quote unquote" wins. It wasn't
going to rate the match. It was just a post-match beatdown to make Batista look good.
Right. As far as Batista and Shawn goes, I would give that, 3 stars if I'm being nice. I mean, most of that credit goes to Shawn Michaels. Batista certainly carried his end of the load, but Shawn was carrying most of that load, as you were noting.
This was the highest rated match. Did I say 3.5? I meant to say 3. This is the highest rated match of the night.
Yeah, I'm going 3 for this one. I didn't like this as nearly as much as Van Dam and Orton, but
this is the closest thing we're ever going to get to a bad Shawn Michaels match.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Because Shawn didn't know how to have a bad match unless he was being unprofessional and yelling at Vader at SummerSlam. But anyway.
So
I can't wait to talk about that.
Here's the thing. I didn't hate this promo backstage, but it did do something that pissed me off. So Batista is still on a tear. He's upset. And then Flair gives Batista a really good motivational speech saying, you know what? You'll win some, you'll lose some. Shawn Michaels, he's going to get his. We will deal with him another day. But here's the thing. You keep getting knocked down and you're going to get your ass back up because you're the animal Batista. A really good motivational speech. But Flair fucks it up by telling Batista, come with me. I have a plan. We're leaving tonight with titles around our waist.
He telegraphed the ending. He telegraphed the ending of the next match, which is what?
He gave away the finish to the next match. It's tag team turmoil for the world tag team titles.
It sure is.
And if you thought WWE's tag division was bad now, holy shit, this match was literally a bunch of thrown together tag teams. Starting off with the Hurricane and Rosey. My internet's down, so I don't have the match card pulled up in front of me. Who were the opponents?
Hurricane and Rosey went up against La Resistance at the point, comprised of Rene Dupree and Rob Conway. Hurricane, of course, popular babyface act in the Ruthless Aggression era, but he needed a sidekick. Mighty Molly was not available, so he plucks one half of the toughest tag team on Raw, 3-minute warning, to be his sidekick. Rosey Anoa'i, the late older brother of undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns right now. And Rosey was dubbed the superhero in training. Put that acronym together. The SHIT. And they made it as obvious as they could. It was so fun.
I remember the backstage vignettes they would run for this, where Hurricane was training Rosey. And they're exercising, and Rosie's saving cats from trees. There's this great segment where Hurricane's talking to a little girl, and Rosey is in the background, and a cat attacks him, and Rosie's trying to fight off the cat. He's slamming the cat against the tree, and then he helps an old lady across the street, and she says, thank you, and he says, oh, I'm the superhero in training.
That's funny.
SHIT. And the old lady goes, you monster, and hits him with a purse.
So funny. So funny vignettes. They're not as memorable as they kind of sound like the Los Guerreros vignettes in a way, but they're easily not as memorable as what Eddie and Chavo did.
Rosey is out there dressed in like basketball shorts and an oversized t-shirt. This looks like a gimmick you can see at your local indie promotion running out of the gymnasium of your local middle school.
Oh, God.
And I fucking love this gimmick so much.
I mean, Rosey and Jamal were billed from Oakland, so you do see a lot of gym shorts around Oakland. But Rosey, here's a fun little story, just to kind of go on a side tangent. So when I was a kid, I collected these action figures like there was no tomorrow. Loved those things. I would book my own shows. I would do all that stuff. And my parents were,
figure collecting days.
I mean, bless my parents' hearts. They allowed me to do so many things as a wrestling fan. But one thing that they would never do is they would not allow me to have that Rosey figure. And the reason why is because of the SHIT. They were like, they didn't want their kid saying that word all over the place. And they were very clever about it. So that's why. So
that's excellent.
I had a Hurricane figure, didn't have a Rosey figure. Never had a shit figure. So
damn, that's like getting the Batman figure, but you don't have the Robin figure. You do that.
Well, I mean, they had a good reason to. They didn't want their kid cursing up a storm at 7 years old, so they didn't want a Tanner Boyle running around the house. But anywho, this is, pretty basic tag team match. Hurricane, there's a really nice spot where Rosey is just sitting on the top rope. He's being his big, brutish Samoan self. Tags in the Hurricane. Hurricane is standing on Rosey's shoulders, leaps off with a Superfly splash, and pins Rob Conway, I believe. La Resistance, after being embarrassed by The Rock on Raw, like a few weeks before Armageddon, they're ousted right away. And I'm like, these guys have fallen so far down the wayside.
Yeah.
I mean,
all jokes aside, I think Rosey and Hurricane had excellent chemistry as a tag team.
they did. It was it shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have worked. Hurricane was always the heat guy, being smaller, and then the big brute comes in and just cleans house. It works
and
though.
This team lasted like 2 years.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
I think they were even tag team champions at one point too.
Yeah. Fun fact: I was actually at the Monday Night Raw where they split up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
Monday Night Raw where Vince McMahon sicked Kurt Angle on the Hurricane and beat him down in the middle of the ring. And I remember during the commercial break, Rosey came out finally to make the save, and Hurricane shoved Rosey to the side, took his mask off, and threw it on the stage. And that was the last we saw of the Hurricane until he transformed into Gregory Helms. So
what a fun story
really
that
cool
is, huh?
I was at that Raw.
Wow.
And that was the first ever Raw I ever attended. So
That's
fun little anecdote there.
There it is. But Hurricane, before we get to that point, of course, Hurricane pins Rob Conway, and then right away, this random generic Jim Johnston rock anthem hits, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? It's the team of Garrison, Cade, and Mark Jindrak. Who forgot that those two were a tag team?
You forgot who Garrison Cade was before he became a Lance Cade.
Mm-hmm.
He was Jonathan Coachman's heavy. And if you don't remember him from that, then I don't fucking blame you, because I barely remember it.
Yeah, and he was Chris Jericho's heater for a while when Jericho was throwing around the big vocabulary as the world champion. And Lance Cade, unfortunately, passed away way too early. He had so much talent, for his stature on the card.
Is best known for his tag team with Trevor Murdoch in 2000, I want to say 5 to
2005 going into 06. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Excellent tag team. That's where Cade finally found his bearing. That's a tag team that never should have broke up, in my opinion. Cade and Murdoch. So if you don't remember Cade before he was Lance with Murdoch, then that's okay. That's the only part of his career you ever need to know.
Yeah, because he teams with Mark Jindrak here, because Jindrak
we'll be talking about Jindrak a lot more. So if you're wondering why we're not talking about him, there's a reason.
Yeah. Mark Jindrak is but anyway, Mark Jindrak rolls up the Hurricane, and then the Hurricane and the shit are out of there. Did I say that out loud? Did I give away the gimmick? I did. Now up next, Tomas, coming down the aisle, flanked by a couple of female extras, are the team of Lance Storm and Val Venis. Now these guys were. You don't remember these?
You're probably wondering why the hell are Storm and Venis teaming up with each other. I'll tell you why. So, in probably the most despicable thing Stone Cold Steve Austin's ever done, Lance Storm was wrestling a match, and Stone Cold just randomly came out and said, "You're boring.
Mm-hmm.
Your match is boring."
He brought out a pillow and a blankie and just slept on the ramp while Lance Storm was wrestling a perfectly fine match.
He was tormenting Storm, telling him he was boring. Totally took the guy off of his game. Poor Lance Storm. And so he's moping around backstage one day, and Val Venis approaches him and says, "You know what? You're not boring, and I'm going to help you not be boring." So Storm started dancing, and he came out to this new theme song that didn't make sense. And oh my God.
You can still, if anybody plays Day of Reckoning 1 on the GameCube, you can still hear that theme song if you play as Lance Storm. Fun little factoid there.
The only lyric I remember from that stupid ass song was something about ice cold milk. I think the line was, "I'm cool as ice cold milk."
Oh God, yeah, that sounds like a Kurt Angle gimmick right there on the WWE original
Lance
soundtrack.
Storm does not need a gimmick.
No,
his gimmick is that he doesn't have a gimmick.
Right.
He has personality without having personality.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the fucking stupidest thing I've ever seen in the world done with Lance Storm. Unnecessary.
No good.
Completely unnecessary. Lance Storm is the smartest man in professional wrestling. He is a man who, to this day, every single week on Twitter, will give his thoughts on Raw and SmackDown. And he says how he would book the show. Why have you not hired this guy as a producer or an agent? He'd be perfect.
Because WWE doesn't know how to have fun anymore, and they don't want us to have fun. But Lance Storm,
Lance Storm would be the head writer right now. Yeah, SmackDown.
Oh, easily. But these guys wrestle for a little bit. It's kind of intense between Val Venis and Lance Cade in there for a while. But eventually, Val Venis just gets pinned by Mark Jindrak as Lance Cade holds the boot. And I'm like, okay, so much for the former tag team champions Lance Storm and Chief Morley there. They're out of there. But, excuse me. Up next, of course, World Tag Team Champions, the Dudley Boyz. And I'm like, okay, these guys are winning. As a kid, I was like, there's no other team that I think could feasibly win this other than the Dudleys, right?
Believe it or not, Jindrak and Cade versus the Dudleys was kind of a little blood feud going on Raw for a few weeks.
Little bit.
Not gonna lie, they had some decent TV matches.
Some decent ones, yeah. Yeah, and the Dudleys knew how to elevate those guys and try and get them to that next level in the tag division, but needless
Also,
to say...
You want to hear some funny-ass stories?
Yeah.
Listen to Bubba Ray talking about how he had to work with all these tag teams in the mid-2000s. He has so many stories about he has stiffed them on purpose and how he has slapped the taste out of Rene Dupree's mouth at a house show. And Vince,
good Lord,
Laurinaitis goes up to Bubba and says, "Why the hell did you do that?" And he says, "Put yourself in my shoes. If you were in Japan and someone was fucking with you and your partner, what would you do?" He's like, "I'd slap the taste out of his mouth." I'm like, there you go. That's what I did with Dupree.
Yep.
Fucking great ass story.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, Bully Ray has some good stories, interesting opinions on wrestling as well. But he and Devon hit, I believe, Jindrak with the 3D. I mean, it was a pretty basic tag team match again between those two. And Cade and Murdoch are out of there, never to be seen again, really. Up next are the team of Scott Steiner and Test. Scott Steiner is a full-blown heel, as he always should have been when he arrived on the scene at Survivor Series 2002. About time, right before he's fucking released the next month.
Yeah, but it's little too late, WWE.
Little too late. Steiner is having Bubba in a rest hold, and he's yelling at the crowd to shut your mouth! Shut your mouth!
What he should have been doing the entire time.
Mm-hmm. That's that's what he should have been doing. He should have been
crazy. Steiner and Test, not a terrible team.
Not a terrible team at all. Not a terrible team at all. I agree. Test was obviously the workhorse between the two. I mean, he's the big brute and the better wrestler. Scott Steiner had just given up at this point. But, I mean, it was a decent little tag team match that they had here. Probably the best sequence of this entire turmoil.
They're no Cesaro and Sheamus, but they're a lot better as a unit than they ever were facing each other.
Yeah. Yep. Even though Cesaro and Sheamus had good matches with each other, Test and Steiner never did. So
they're no Cesaro and Sheamus.
Yeah, Test, of course, has his steel chair gimmick, and I think that he's, like, there's part of me rewatching this that's like, is this also a point where Test does the fucking gimmick where the chair ricochets and just hits him in the face? Because I love that. And he never did it in this match. And I'm like, fuck, he's actually successful hitting Devon in the face with a chair. And Steiner almost wins the World Tag Team titles at that point, but it was not to be. Bubba hits Test with a Bubba Bomb, and Devon pins Test because they're the two legal men. I had no clue who the legal men were at any point in this match. Like, it was so hard to keep track. I do not envy referee Mike Chioda's stature at this point, but Devon pins Test. Dudley's music starts to play. You think they're winning, but then Eric Bischoff's music hits, and he's like, in order to win Tag Team Turmoil, you have to beat all the teams. And the most predictable thing of the entire show, because fucking Flair telegraphed it backstage, Ric Flair and Batista, they come down to the ring, just take the tag team titles from the Dudleys, literally.
Which apparently, even though Batista wasn't in the match, he got a favor from Bischoff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was their favor. They cashed in. Batista and Flair are your new World Tag Team Champions.
Batista hit Devon. He hit Devon with a solid Batista bomb, too, and Devon's leg was twitching there, and I'm like, oh, man. He fucked him up with the Batista bomb. But
I will admit, I kind of do miss the trope of somebody wrestling a ruthlessly extreme, like, physically taxing match like an Elimination Chamber or a Gauntlet, and then they immediately have to face someone else and lose their title. I kind of miss that trope. It just kind of, the selling just really shows there. You look at that person, you look at that John Cena, you look at that, you know, you look at the Dudley Boyz, you look at that Kofi Kingston that's just wrestled over an hour, and you just see how vulnerable they are after wrestling for an hour.
Exactly.
It just kind of shows, especially how well they sell that shit.
Oh, yeah. And Devon selling in this match was really great. Bubba was selling a separated shoulder that Tess was working on ruthlessly throughout that entire sequence. But, yeah, Evolution is 2 for 2 in the title matches. Batista and Flair walk away with the tag team gold. The turmoil existed. I mean, star 3/4 maybe. I mean,
there were some solid spots.
Yeah.
It wasn't a terrible match.
Wasn't. I mean, maybe a 2. Maybe a 2 if I'm being nice about it. But you were definitely not going to remember this match tomorrow, except for the finish. So, but
this match was here to get Batista and Flair the titles. It would have been a better moment if Flair literally didn't say in the segment prior that him and Batista were going to win titles.
Yep. That's right.
Said, Batista, I guarantee that you will be a champion. Then that would have been a little more, a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Vague. But Flair straight up said, me and you are leaving tonight with titles around our waist.
They really do. But speaking of titles, who forgot this fucking match happened on pay-per-view? Women's title on the line as Molly Holly defends against Ivory. That's correct. Ivory in 2003 is challenging for the women's championship here. I believe this match was set up on Heat, and the ironic thing is this match had
never set up on Heat.
Yep, this match had no heat. Absolutely no heat to this match at all. This crowd did not give a shit about it, unfortunately, because these two women are great workers, both of them. I mean, there's some Northern Lights suplexes. I don't remember anything about this match. As soon as the match was over, I was like, what the fuck was the finish? And now I'm looking at it. Molly flips over and rolls up Ivory with a handful of tights and wins. It's a 5-minute match. I mean, I don't know how to. It was there. Half, 3/4 of a star, maybe. The crowd did not give a damn about this, which is a shame. This could have very easily been done on Raw, I think, but what can you do? What can you do to kill time before the main event?
At the main event, in every single match we have said at this point, there has not been a single match that we have said, wow, that was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And spoiler alert, neither is this main event. It's Goldberg, it's Triple H, it's Kane in a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Kane rightfully has this title shot because he has been on an absolute tear.
He has
taken the mask off. He has murdered everybody. He took out RVD. He literally put Shane in an ambulance in Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So you know what? The big red monster wants a big gold belt around his big red waist.
And that is certainly does.
Justifiable.
Yeah.
Triple H, on the other hand,
he gets
the title shot.
He's just entitled. Yeah. But I think personally, if you took Triple H out of this match and just had Goldberg and Kane in just a 5-minute freaking bloodbath and just a train wreck of a match, it would have been so much more entertaining than what we got here. Because this match went, let me see, 19 minutes and 28 seconds, and I'm like, fuck, I could just fast forward through the majority of this match to get to the finish. Because with the promotion,
Kane was the MVP.
Yeah. Kane and his facial expressions were the best at this point, because keep in mind, this is also unhinged, unmasked Kane, and there's no stopping him, really, except if you're 3 members of Evolution holding him back after a chokeslam. Spoiler alert. But Kane, Kane and Triple H are teaming up on Goldberg to start the fucking match, and I'm like, Kane, you need to beat the crap out of Hunter right now because of the Katie Vick angle. That's all you need to do. Because Triple H,
considering where Kane is in his mindset right now, he doesn't need to be teaming up with anybody.
No. Why would he?
If Michael Myers just randomly started teaming up with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, it's like if Michael Myers randomly started teaming up with Roddy Piper and They Live. The John Carpenter cinematic universe. Exactly. Why would you do that? You shouldn't.
The whole point of the Freddy and Jason movies that they were both trying to kill as many people as possible. They weren't trying to team up and do it. They're like, no, fuck you. I'm going to kill this team. No, I want to That's what Kane is. Like, you should say, fuck you, Triple H.
Yeah.
You're in the way of me winning the championship.
He really is. He really is. Power slam by Kane on Goldberg. I think Goldberg fell asleep. Triple H goes for the pin, and then Kane pulls him off, and then the two start fighting. Once Kane does not let Triple H win the world title, now he has a problem. You know, obviously, everybody wants to win the world title. So there should have been no team up between Triple H and Kane. It should have just been a big bloodbath from the very beginning. There was not a single ounce of blood spilled in this match. In a Triple H match. Who would have thunk it?
If Triple H would have approached Kane backstage before the match with like a briefcase full of money and said, hey, big guy, I know you don't like me and I don't like you, but if you help me win this championship, like, I'll make it worth your while or something like that, then maybe that would have justified a temporary alliance. But no, Triple H just starts helping. Kane just starts helping Triple H because
for no fucking reason. For no fucking reason. But one thing I will give the match bonus points for is the fucking chair shot that Kane took, because it was so vicious. Like, Kane is going for a chokeslam. Triple H sneaks in, hits him right smack in the head in the bald dome with the steel chair. And I'm like, how is this guy not just concussed like nobody else? There's like, Kane finishes the match because he's a trooper, but like that was that would wake the crowd up, but it didn't. But they go out, they fight by the announce table. Match is no disqualification, of course, because it's triple threat. Goldberg is chokeslammed and the table does not break. I think the crowd was asleep at this point. Triple H does like a back suplex on Goldberg. The table finally breaks at that point, and I'm like, man, can we just get to the finish? Because I know how this match is finishing. You know, it's with the marketing on this pay-per-view, with the banner that was up there, with the Iron Cross, with the Titantron having the freaking steel scaffolding in the shape of Triple H's emblem. It's like literally written in the stars who's going over.
And considering that Orton won the Intercontinental title and they just shoehorned the tag team titles onto Batista and Flair, you could see the writing on the wall where this was going to go.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. Triple H and Kane fight for a bit. Kane chokeslams Triple H on the ramp, which sounded like a nasty bump in and of itself. Back in the ring, Goldberg is hitting spears on those two fuckers all over the place. He's throwing haymakers at him, and Tomas is yawning because the match is boring, and I agree with him. But,
I'm right.
My word. You know, it's... so, another spear on Kane, spear to Hunter, and then Orton and Flair come out to ringside. They try to fight off Goldberg. Goldberg punches him off. Goldberg spears Kane again. I think there was a near fall in there. Goldberg goes for one more spear. Kane nails Goldberg with a gigantic chokeslam, if I can speak anymore. It's been a long day of recording, my friends. I hope you're still with me. But, Kane is pulled out of the ring by all three members of Evolution, all as he watches Triple H pin Goldberg off of his chokeslam to win back the World Heavyweight title. The reign of terror continues!
Mm-hmm.
I love you, Triple H, but, like, oh my God, was this annoying.
We ain't done yet, ladies and gentlemen. We ain't done.
And this is all because you assholes cheered for Hulk Hogan at Backlash 2002, winning the Undisputed title. You brought this on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We're still talking about this at the end of 2003.
We have a whole nother year and a half to go.
Oh,
over.
God, yeah, dude. Like, I'm not excited. I mean, we have a little bit of a reprieve after our August retro pod, if that's any silver lining. But oh my word, and we have a last man. What'd you say?
3 1/4. That's this match gets.
Dude, I gave it 2 1/4. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Yeah, this match was very, very slow, very plodding. I did not like this main event at all. Didn't have the energy that it needed, but it did give us the iconic image of Kane going for the chokeslam, unmasked Kane in front of the flaming Armageddon A that you see on the back of his DVD. That's an iconic Kane picture that you still see all the freaking time. That's the best thing that came out of this match. Easily. Of course, you have the ending of the show, and this is honestly one of my favorite tropes in wrestling, but with the way this pay-per-view was marketed, you could see it a mile away. Evolution is on top of the stage, and they're holding all the gold. You know, I love it when they did it here. I love it when they did it with the Shield at Extreme Rules. You know, it's a good trope. It's a good trope.
And here we are in 2022 with the Bloodline holding all the titles right now.
Roman's like, look at all my prizes. Oh, yeah, acknowledge me.
All they got to do is call up Solo Sequoia now, have him unify the United States Intercontinental title.
Oh, shit.
And then I can just go jump off a roof right then and there.
Don't give the lunatic any ideas. Don't
have to. He already has his own fucking fucked up ideas going on right now.
Yeah, but oh man, this is like the worst show I think we've talked about on the ZNT wrestling show.
I want to give this a 5.
Dude, I'm giving it a fucking 3. Are you kidding me?
3. Wow.
Yeah,
you know
I'm giving it a 3.
I'm gonna give it a Bret Hart. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. That's my move. Lock it in. 4 out of 10.
This gets a Bret Hart.
And trust me, there are even worse shows that we're going to talk about in 2004. So prepare for that. Prepare for that, my friends. But
is it fair to say we're about to enter the dark age of the Ruthless Aggression era?
No. Okay, here's my thing. I think 2004... So overall, would you say 2003 was a good year for WWE, or would you say it's kind of like, you know, in the middle somewhere?
Year for SmackDown.
Good year for SmackDown. Yeah.
Excellent year for SmackDown.
Raw was overall, the fucking shits.
Thought it was better than 2002.
Really?
Overall. Yeah.
Wow. Dude, 2002, I have so many more fond memories of it. I think just like the ending of the invasion angle starting off the year and going into Mania 18, I just have the most nostalgia with 2002. 2003 had some great shows. I think top 3 for me, Mania 19, Survivor Series, and Vengeance in no particular order. Those are my 3 favorite shows of the past year of retros for sure. What would you say your 3 are then?
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm definitely gonna have to say Mania. I enjoyed SummerSlam too for the what's the word I'm looking for? The Diamond in the Rough match with Lesnar and Angle.
Yeah, so good.
No Mercy, I have really good memories with too. So no particular order. Those are the 3 that first come to mind, as well as Survivor Series.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. No, it's an interesting time talking about wrestling always. And you guys, we have done another full freaking year of retro pods. All 12 2003 pay-per-views have been reviewed over here, and you guys have asked for it. And your wishes are command, Tomas. What do you say we talk about 2004?
Hell yes.
Yep, so stay tuned next month. We got Royal Rumble 2004 on the docket, the Lost Royal Rumble, one of my personal favorite pay-per-views of that year, actually.
Can't wait to talk about that one.
Can't wait. Yep, we got Double or Nothing next week. We got Hell in a Cell the week after that. And we were talking about doing another retro poll either in June or July, so keep your eyes and ears peeled out for that on my Twitter, and feel free to subscribe to the channel, join the party, hit that thumbs up and that notification bell if you haven't already. Just thank you all so much for your support, and thank you for sticking through us through another year with us talking retro pay-per-views. It's always a fun time, Tomas. You know that.
Yeah, can't believe it's been 2 years.
we've done all of 2002 and 2003. How crazy is that?
Yep, and we've done every pay-per-view between 2020 and 2022.
Wow. That's fucking wild, guys.
Keep it going.
Let's keep the fun going, my friends. And see you next time. Commence that back talk.